The attorney will be back when the meeting is over. Let's, we're going to talk, first thing, we're going to go ahead and get the work session started. It's 11 o'clock by, 10 o'clock by my watch, hopefully. And item number 1 on that is insurance renewal options. Matt, I'm going to turn the ball over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Please, sir.
I always have to copies for forms.
We'll share. I'll get it.
Thank you so much.
People don't mind.
If you flip over to the first page, whenever I start talking about the insurance renewal, I like to talk about what happened last year. And this time last year, we had 110% paid loss ratio. And what that meant, every time the county sent $1 to Blue Cross, they paid $1.10 in claims. And most of the times, insurance companies like that the other way around. They want you to send them more money than what you're actually getting back. But what happened this time a year ago, our claims were trending well. The last 5 months leading up to our renewal, we were actually sending them more money than what we were having in claims. And so while they look at it on a 12-month period, we were actually trending in a good position. So we aggressively went to market. Blue Cross ended up coming out with a 7% increase, but before that increase was released, they were talking 15, 16%. And we told them we were going to market because we were arguing for a low single digit. And just to refresh your guys' memory, we had proposals from both Cigna and Aetna that were in this low single digit. And at the very last moment, Blue Cross came back and said, okay, this is what we'll do. And it was actually a little bit better than what the two of them were doing. We ended up staying with Blue Cross. The actual increase was 2%, and we did not make any changes on the employee contributions. And so we ended up with a net increase of about 2.39% to the county. The only benefit change was we added a 90 retail fill pharmacy option, which means if I go to CVS, instead of getting 30 days supply, I could actually get a 90-day supply by paying 3 co-pays. And then the vision was added as a voluntary benefit. So this is what happened last year. On page 3, it tells us, this really tells us the story of what's going to happen this year. This year our paid loss ratio is actually lower. It's 92.86%. But what that means is that for every $1 we sent Blue Cross, they sent out 92 cents in claims. The target that they shoot for is about an 85% paid loss ratio. And I'm not sure if everyone here is aware, but the county received a rebate check from Blue Cross back about 3-4 weeks ago, and I believe it was in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. That check was not because of the county's own experience. It's due because in the state of Georgia, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, every carrier, is required to pay out at least 85% of all the premiums and claims. And Blue Cross paid out like 84.6% of the premiums and claims, and as a result, that 0.4% required them to give almost $50 million in refunds to clients, and it has to be given equally. So while we actually were at 92%, they look at it as a whole group, as a whole state, not just the county, and so we actually got that refund based upon the entire block of business in the state. But Blue Cross and Blue Shield, like all the other carriers, they try to underwrite these cases to an 85% paid loss ratio, which is what the Affordable Care Act dictates. So we're still running high, but this is what's more important. If you look at, we tried to rush y'all's renewal this year. If you come and you look at the month of May, in the second column to the end under total paid, our paid claims were just at $500,000. The next month they came down a little bit, but in the following month they went back up to $499,000. Those 3 months there account for 1.2 million of our claims, and for the full 12 months we were 2.7. So we're not trending well right now, and so we tried to rush the renewal to get it out. And so while a year ago we were trending really well, the claims were coming in at a lower pace, they've actually started to tick up again. So we really pushed to try to get these out. We had a total of, we have approximately 450 people, which is men, women, and children on coverage every month. And we had 3 individuals who accounted for about 800,000 in claims. Our total paid claims was 2.7 million. And so it was a little bit on the high side, but usually on any group like you guys, we're 2 or 3 people away from having a really good year versus having a really bad year where we look at some really high increases. So, yes.
Let me ask you, were those 3 ongoing, or do you see, was it like a one-time
Well,
charge?
what happened is, on one of those, I know that it's ongoing. The other 2, I think we're over with, or they're off the plan, one of the 2, but one of them was still ongoing. And what the insurance companies typically see is they typically see about 2 to 3% of your members, which in your all's case is going to be about 8 people, that are typically going to account for half your claims. It's very, very typical. And so our ability to try to avoid the high cost claims through encouraging people to get their checkups and take care of themselves, that's really what you try to strive for, because it's me going to the doctor with a flu, or an employee having a baby, or somebody having a gallbladder. Those are not the costs that really dictate what our renewal looks like. It's the transplants, it's the people who, there's a lot of conditions out there now, and I'm going to get into like multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease. These chronic conditions in the past have been incredibly debilitating, but they have got some new medications on the market that are just absolutely wonderful when it comes to giving these people a high, good quality of life. But these medicines are also driving most of our costs. And so, you know, us trying to encourage people to take care of themselves and see their doctors, that's really our best situation. People who have an uncontrolled blood pressure, they have a BMI over 40, they have high cholesterol, high blood sugars, those individuals are the ones that usually will turn into your cardiovascular claim 5 years down the road, and we just don't know who it's going to be. And so you look at it from 2 points. One, I have to look at it from a financial standpoint, but number 2, also from a quality of life for my people who work for me. And people do look to their employer for guidance for their health. And so the human side of this is we want to encourage our employees to work here. We want them to take care of themselves. We want them to retire from here one day, and we want them to be able to enjoy their retirement. And it comes through educating them and making sure that, you know, these checkups are free. I know you may not want to hear that you have high blood pressure, you've got high blood sugars, but take care of yourself. Anyway, I got my preaching. Okay, on page 4, Blue Cross and Blue Shield is moving all their group plans to what they call an essential formulary. And if they hadn't told us, we wouldn't know it, but they are telling us. Right now, we are on an open formulary, and Blue Cross is going to a closed formulary with a formulary exception process. And what this is going to mean is that if an employee is taking a drug and there's a less expensive alternative available, Blue Cross is going to say, you're going to have to take that less expensive drug, or your physician is going to have to prove to us why you have to take that drug and no other drug. The way I want y'all to see this or impact it, in the last 12 months, you all had 2,189 prescriptions filled. And if you come across the board to the green under Tier 1, you can see of those 2,189 Tier 1 prescriptions filled, 2,036 of them will have no change. You're going to have 160 of them go up on a higher copay, and then you're going to have 37 of these Tier 1 drugs no longer be available. In fact, I misspoke. It's not 37 drugs, it's 37 prescriptions that were filled that will no longer be available. And if I come down to the bottom chart, The bottom chart indicates how many prescriptions, different prescriptions are affected. So when I look at this bottom chart in tier 1, there's 8 prescriptions that were filled 37 times, if I come back up to the top. So I'm going to use my finger if you don't mind. So under tier 1, we had 8 drugs that were filled 37 times. 8 drugs were filled 37 times. This is the number of different prescriptions. 8 were filled 37 times. And those drugs are no longer going to be available to the employees, and they're going to be told that they have to try a different drug. Now, if their doctor says that drug won't work, they got to keep it, and they can show proof that they've tried these other drugs, then they will be allowed to continue the prescription. But this is a formulary change that's coming forth across the board. It's Blue Cross's response to this is they say this will be more mainstream with what they see in the marketplace, that they see from the other companies out there like Aetna and Cigna. And we actually implemented this on 3 groups last year. And one of them was quite a bit bigger than y'all, Barrow County. We did actually Gilmer. This actually went into Gilmer County last year too, January 1. And we did not have this type of reporting available to us. And we got 0 phone calls. 0 phone calls. We get 1 phone call from anybody in those counties. And we went to these essential formularies by choice because we knew it was pulling the cost down. And now Blue Cross is dictating that it's no longer going to be an option. These things are just too cost effective for us not to be on. So we did want to, make sure you're aware of it. On page 5 is your Blue Cross and Blue Shield renewal. Blue Cross and Blue Shield has requested a 9.9% increase in your premiums. And I've got my finger here. The page is kind of busy, but this is where it is. It's a 9.9% increase. And this is based upon the claims. 4% of this increase are affordable care taxes that are being reintroduced in 2018. In 2017, Congress suspended the Affordable Care Act taxes on fully insured groups, and they've not done it. They only suspended them for 1 year. And because they've not come back and either re-suspended the taxes or repealed the Affordable Care Act or done whatever they should be doing, those taxes are coming back. So we feel we got a very good renewal offer from Blue Cross. We're running at 92%. We were able to get the increases, literally it's 5%, but there's 4% worth of taxes being added on for next year. So if we renew with Blue Cross and make no changes at all in the plan, we will make no changes on the employees' base payroll deductions, your actual net increase would be 12.39%. That's without making any changes at all. And I do have a summary page on this on the end. I'll get to it in just a second. What we are recommending is one of 2 things. On page 6, I'm showing you our current 2 plans, and then I'm showing 2 options. The first option is that we don't make any changes, but we increase the employee contributions to get the net increase to 5.15%. And that would require our base plan, which is currently at $24.25, to increase to $42.45. The employee and spouse rate would go from $128.97 to $167.19. Employee children, $104.69 to $140.16. And family from $217 to $272. By doing that, we would keep the county's net increase to 5%, and we don't make any benefit changes other than the formulary changes that Blue Cross requires. What we're recommending, though, is to change to a single option, which is on the back end. It's the last column. Right now, the county offers both an HMO and a point of service plan. We are recommending just going to one single point of service plan. And where the main changes on this would be is that I bolded it, the employee's maximum out of pocket would be $4,000 for surgery, hospitalization, all their co-pays. Currently on our HMO, the maximum out of pocket is $3,000 for a bad illness, and on the point of service, it's $4,500. So this would increase the maximum out of pocket if I got real sick, but it does not change the employee's deductible. It leaves it at $1,500. It leaves the co-insurance at 80%. And the other thing that this does is that while we have most of our employees under an HMO, by moving to the open access point of service, it now gives these employees access to any Blue Cross Blue Shield doctor anywhere in the country. Right now, under my HMO plan, if I were to get a cancer, and I get on the internet, not that I find out that the best doctor treating it is up in New York, I can't go because I'm under the HMO. Under this open access policy, if that doctor is a Blue Cross Blue Shield doctor in New York, I can go up there and it's being paid in network. So I think there's a huge advantage too from the employees' standpoint in terms of it's opening up every doctor in the country that's with Blue Cross to them. The other change on this was on the pharmacy. The co-pays for Tier 2 goes from 40 to 45, and the Tier 3 would go from 75 to 85, and if I'm on a specialty drug, the cap is currently 200, it would go 300, so there's also a slight change on the formulary. With making this plan change and keeping yourself at a 5% change, all the employees would have their contributions kept at the base level, which is the $24.25. And so the employee would not see any increase. And we have 10 employees, I believe, who purchased the more expensive point of service plan. They would actually see their costs come down. So this keeps us at about a 5% increase. I need you to flip one more page. By going to this last plan option, this would also go to a standard Blue Cross contract. And what a standard contract is what they literally offer on their standard policies. Over the years, we've kept their non-standard language in place, and by going to a standard contract, it would now put our language and change it to where these provisions would change on our plan. Right now, and I try to color code these, I'm a visual guy. If it's red, you can probably guess it's not a good thing. If it's green, it's good, and the black, I'm a little indifferent on it. But physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, chiropractic services are currently paid at the primary care copay, and I believe that's $25. Those are all now go to the specialist copay, which is $50. Our out-of-network, under the point of service, it's currently $60. It's going to go to $50. But also, our individuals who have HMO currently have no out-of-network benefit. They would pick up an out-of-network benefit. So I could have made this green or red, so I just made it dark. Currently, if an employee goes and gets a diagnostic outpatient x-ray, it's paid at 100%. It would now go to the deductible and the co-insurance. Ambulatory surgical centers, these currently are subject to your deductible and co-insurance. They would now go to a $150 copay and then your co-insurance. So that is actually a very big benefit. That's a big plus. That includes the surgical center and the physician fees. The second to last bullet is hospice care, home health care, and specialty drugs administered in a doctor setting. These would change to your deductible and co-insurance. Currently, hospice is 100%, home health care is a $25 copay, and the specialty drug administered in office, it varies in terms of how those are paid. Sometimes it's copay, sometimes it's deductible and co-insurance anyway, but it does vary on that. And then we have an online teledoctor, which is currently at a $15 copay. Employees who use the teledoctor service would go to $25. So these changes would also take place if we put in the single option, and these are just standard Blue Cross Blue Shield contract language. Before I turn the page, this is a lot. Is there any questions y'all have on that I can address just on the medical? And I'll give you another chance, but before I move on and talk about the other items.
Yes, Linda.
My question is, will the list of drugs that won't be available any longer be made readily available to the employees?
We actually, I think we have a piece that captures a list of, I think it's about, there's like 15 drugs that account for almost 60% of all of them, and that's readily available. We actually have a detailed disruption report for the county that it's not, I can't put it out in public, but I can make it available to HR, and I think if you come by HR, they could probably go down the list and show you. A lot of the prescriptions that are being disrupted, they're usually items that are available over the counter. It's more of over the counter stuff, but they actually gave us the name of every prescription that was no longer being covered and what the alternative that's going to be recommended. They told us how many scripts were written by it and how many members were affected, and I can make that available to HR.
Okay.
And then I think if you go in HR, they can go down it.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to quickly get through the rest of this. On slide 8, there was no change in our dental program for the upcoming year. The vision is a voluntary plan. There's no changes in those benefits, and that's on page 9. The basic life insurance. We did not have any increase on our life insurance. I'm on page 10. But we did have a 20% increase in our short-term disability. And when you're dealing with life and disability, we get our best pricing by bundling stuff together. If I go to an insurance company just wanting a life insurance quote, they're going to give me one rate, but when I put things together, you get better rates by bundling. Well, because we got the increase on our disability, we took all the life and disability out together as a package. Well, Greater Georgia Life, they let their rate hold, but we got a proposal back from Sun Life, which currently has your disability, and they actually came in 12% below, because it's now being bundled with the disability. And we got a proposal from Dearborn that came in almost 30% below, because it's being bundled with their disability. Your current spend is about approximately $19,000 on Greater Georgia Life. If you elected Sun, it would go to $16,000. And if you went with Dearborn, it would actually go just below $14,000. So there is a little bit of savings here on the life. And we almost have to tie this to the disability, because I'm going to ask you to flip over to page 11. The employees, we have probably 60% of the employees who are enrolled in short-term disability. It's quite a few. And the short-term disability, the employee pays for it, and it is used quite a bit. And as a result, we ended up with, from Sun Life, our current disability carrier, we had a 20% increase, which is a fairly significant increase. If I'm 40 years old, I'm currently, and I have a $500 a week policy, I'm paying $18.48 a pay period, and it's increasing to $28.15. In fact, that's for all age brackets. So it's about, that's a significant increase. The best proposals we got actually came from Greater Georgia Life, and they matched the Sun option.
Mm-hmm.
And Dearborn said there was just no way they could get down to that $28 number, and the best number they could get was $30. And so as a result, we got our best rate for the county from Dearborn, which was about $2,000, $3,000 less than Sun, but they actually charged the employees more for the disability. So we would recommend going with the Sun Life option, just because the overall bundled product would be less net money to the county and its employees, is what we would recommend. We would recommend you keep your disability with Sun, but I would change the life insurance over to them. All these required to be bundled, so if indeed you decided that you didn't want to go with Dearborn, then we'd have to go with their disability too.
When you look at the short-term disability for Sun Life, this rate is only guaranteed until through 2018. The life insurance rates for both the other insurers are guaranteed until 2020.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
next year,
They could change those, yeah.
if we
That's-
go with Sun, this will be consistent, but the disability could go up, right?
That's correct. The disability has just not run well. We've used it quite a bit. And we had a lot of the carriers who wouldn't even give us a price on it. And then on page 12 is the summary sheet. And under the medical plan, we are recommending a single option, which would leave the county with a net increase of $131,000, approximately 5%. We recommend renewing the dental and the vision, and then on the basic life insurance, which is tied to the voluntary short-term disability, we recommend the Sun Life option. Did I miss anything, Patty?
You want to talk about page 13?
Oh, hush. I always make the summary the last page.
You can have that, you can.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Anybody got any questions for Matt? Becky, Jerry, don't got any? When do we need a decision on this?
We're on a schedule in 3 weeks.
So we need a decision on that the next county meeting.
If at all possible, please.
Paula, get us on that. Get it on the agenda, please. All right, that brings us down to item number 2 under LMIG, road paving schedule. I know Johnny and Kim and Viewers, Rodney, have worked hard on this thing, trying to come up with next year's paving list. The roads that you see, Becky, you want my copy?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. There you go. Let me give you that. You hold on to that. The roads that you see, thanks, Matt.
Thank you all.
The roads that you see in red are those that need to be done. Those are definitely, we can't change those. And as we went back about 2 months ago, if not longer, the other roads that you see in behind there, especially when you get to the last 2 pages. The last 2 pages is Hunter's Ridge. And those roads, we can move them around a little bit, but they need to be done also, as well as the second one down, which those roads are those Wildwood subdivision, Little Avenue, Charles Avenue. What do they call that subdivision right there, Roy? That was been there many years ago.
Some of it is Archer Heights subdivision, it's got
Yeah.
different names, and some
Yeah.
of it's Jones. It's just different ones.
Now, what we would like to do, Jerry and Becky, is the fact that you're gonna look at all these roads right here. We would like to act on it at the next county meeting, because we've been discussing this since June, and Johnny and Rodney both have went through and looked at all the right-of-ways. We double-checked everything. And it gives Kim a list of roads to get ready to, if we have to replace pipe, get all that stuff, get all that pipe, get all the right-of-ways cleaned up, all that. Or we can go ahead and we'd like to contract every bit of this out for next year. The whole 9 yards. And we're predicting, where's Johnny hiding at? He's in behind Roy. Your best you can figure, it looks like the overall cost to do these roads, this is the proposal, is somewhere around $1.7 million.
1.5.
I'm sorry, 1.5. That being said, how much are we gonna be getting back from LMIG?
About 518,000 was this year. It should increase about 7% next year. I won't know till They send it to us sometime next month.
So you're looking at, so let's just round it up, say we're getting approximately $520,000 from LMIG, and then we will match that with our SPOS, that'll be coming in for the roads to finish this out. So you're talking about another $1 million from SPOS, we can go ahead and knock these roads out and get these on the list for the coming year.
So I guess we took Hunter's Ridge into the county some time ago.
Oh,
is that
yeah,
right?
Hunter's Ridge been in the county quite some time. And the reason why we're looking at subbing it out is because of the elevations and all. We've been dealing with that. Now, Kim has still got roads to finish up this year. You still got, what, Swan Bridge, Tilly Road,
And P Ridge Road.
yeah, P Ridge and
Pettit.
Pettit Road is a dirt road that they've about got it ready to go with tar and gravel. Now, it's not gonna be asphalt, it's gonna be tar and gravel. And we've got a small section of Pettit that's not gonna be able to get lapped in this time because of the way the road comes in, narrows at the top. Hopefully, we can work with the property owners there in this winter, work on widening it out and get it finished. But we wanna go ahead and tar and gravel majority of Pettit, and that'll get it knocked down. And then what I'd like to do for next year on tar and gravel is a Young Loop, Jordan Road, and Evans Road. And Jordan Road, if you remember, that's the one that goes right beside Antioch Church. That's got the creek down there. We want to stay out of the creek buffer, got to stay out of the creek buffer, but we would like to get that road laid rest. Kim's got a pipe to replace in it. If we can go ahead and tar and gravel that one next year. Young Loop, that'll be getting started around off of Henderson Mountain. And now we've got to run the legals, which what I mean by that is we got to check the right of way, ownership of the road, be sure we're not infringing on anything that's along that right of way, because anything can be anywhere from prescriptive to 30, 40, 50 foot right of way. So we're just bouncing around, but we like to run all that. But those are the roads we'd like to tar and gravel next year, would be Young Loop, Jordan, and Evans. But these roads we'd like to go ahead and get approved at our next meeting, not only the blacklist, but the red list for paving for next year. We can go and get this LMIG turned in and get the money coming.
Are we gonna do the asphalt next year?
We might do a little asphalt. I kind of wanted to give the guys a break.
Ray Mountain Road, we talked about that.
Right, it depends on the splash, but we're looking at maybe doing some roads in-house also.
This is just strictly for LMIG. How long ago has Ray Mountain Road been paved?
It's been a while.
Been over 25 years?
I don't think so, probably 15.
At the most.
Because eventually we're going to have to get Ray Mountain Road, and we're going to have to get Cove Road, probably year after next. Cove Road's going to have to be resurfaced. Ray Mountain Road needs to be resurfaced. Worley, huh?
And Worley Cross.
Worley Crossroads got to be resurfaced. And then you're looking at, what's the one there at the four-way cross there at Cove Road?
Clay Mountain.
Clay
Plain Mountain. We've got a lot back in there that's going to have to be done too. But I like to wave, I like to snap my fingers and get them all done at one time. It's just not possible. And Faye doesn't want to bankrupt some of the banks here to try to get all these paid at one time. So we got, we're trying to pace ourselves, but we're trying to pick out the worst roads. And along with the worst roads, we're trying to, if we're going to contract it out, if you can contract it where you can keep your subcontractors in one area, keep them from bouncing from one location to another, then you save X amount of dollars for transportation costs, what they call transportation costs of moving equipment around.
Did we ever do anything with Family Acres down
We resealed it last year to try to hold it together until we can get down there and get it resurfaced.
No bigger than no longer than Family Acres, that might be another one that we could do ourselves.
Right.
Within the county. But first things first, we need to get this approved. We'll get the LMIG sent in for this. We get that check coming from the state. Any further questions on that?
had one for Tim.
Yeah.
The lady that sent me an email and I forwarded it to you,
Yes.
where was her road? What was,
It's Keeble Creek Drive, which is off Parker Road.
where do we stand on that one?
I've got to go, I'm gonna go take a look at it and, see what we can do with it.
And Parker Road's also, I forgot about Parker Road's another one that's gonna have to be,
Yeah.
so if Johnny's keeping a list and running them down as we start seeing them alligator crack and everything, but the problem is this is probably in the last 10 years, we have really concentrated on trying to get these roads fixed because they haven't been touched in many, many years. And especially with the LMIG, especially with the SPLOST dollars that these citizens have voted us in, has really been an asset to go ahead and get a lot of these roads done. And of course, I'd like to, when time comes in the future, we need to do another SPLOST and put the same thing on there again and just keep these roads, keep paving, keep ditching, keep cleaning up. What's the, and this is not on the agenda, I'm gonna make this one up. What's the status on the fire department for Salacoa? Give my commissioners here an update, Johnny, you know.
We're finalizing the building plans on it, I'm fixing to put it out for bid the 1st of November.
All right, the power and the water's already been run.
Power and water's in place.
Yeah. All right. Any further questions on the roads and the road list for the coming year? That doesn't mean now, just because this list here, that doesn't mean that we can't add more roads to our county list when that time comes. So we're not pigeonholed just for that group. All right, item number 3 is the Gilmer County Water Distribution Agreement. They had sent a contract in Gilmer County. As everybody knows, we're running a water line up Yukon Road all the way to the Gilmer County line. It looks like when that water line gets to the Gilmer County line, we're going to have about 50 PSI, approximately 50 PSI there. Gilmer, of course, is suggested, or they would like to run a water line from there down, but they're wanting us to sign a contract. Be glad to sign them a contract if they want to sign us a contract in reverse, because I'll sell them as much water as they want to sell us. But if they want to interlock between counties like EPD has requested over the years, it gives them a great opportunity to do so. We would be glad to discuss any water that they want to sell us, and hopefully they would be glad to discuss with us any water we'd like to sell them. So I'm not looking at signing a lucrative contract with anybody. We are taking our water line up to the Gilmer County line on Yukon Road for fire protection and for our citizens of Pickens County. So we're going to proceed on with that as soon as the weather, hopefully next week we'll get back on that project now that we got the storm damage cleaned up. Don't know of any other water lines we're putting in other than that. You know of anything? I know my water guys are out today, but
Can't think of anything.
they were a big help. I would like to thank the water department as well as the road department, sheriff's department, recreation department, that helped us get these roads and all cleaned up during this section. So I'm assuming as of Friday of last week, we pretty well caught up and got everything back to normal again.
That's correct.
All right, thanks, Kim. Any other questions about that? All right, item number 4, Pickens County Tax Digest 2017. Ms. Harvey, it says state approved. Roy, I'm sorry.
Yes, we have the letter that it's been.
So you've got that letter, so it has been approved. Anyone have any questions on that? All right, item number 5, New Year's Eve alcohol serving pouring resolution. Richard, you want to give us just a kind of a quick what these individuals are wanting to do? I think New Year's comes on Sunday night. Monday is, of course, the first day. So what are they wanting us to do?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. So this is a one-time request by an existing alcohol license holder in good standing. We were approached by John Loopy, the owner of Home Restaurant, who was concerned that in an unusual circumstance this year, December 31st, New Year's Eve, is on a Sunday. And he would love to have his legitimate business open on that Sunday. And as with any restaurant that's an existing license holder, And in order to make money, they would like to serve alcohol. And so this does not set a precedent if the Board of Commissioners decides to approve the request by Home Restaurant. What's proposed in a detailed version based on John Lupe's discussions with us is the following. Pickens County Board of Commissioners authorizes sale by the drink for consumption on the premises, in other words, serving, of malt beverages, i.e. beer, wine, and/or distilled spirits for restaurants with existing alcohol licenses on Sunday, December 31st, on a one-time only basis from the hours of 12:30 p.m. on December 31st until 1 a.m. on January 1st, 2018.
That's just a one-time request, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. That'll give something to think about when we get to our regular county meeting. Be sure you get that on the agenda for that one. All right. Well, I've got you up there. Give us an overview of campers. I know we've been having some issues, and you have worked on a tweaking in our ordinance that we've already got in place about moving not mobile homes but campers that are not designed to live in permanent structures. And we are tweaking in our ordinance, make it a little more strict. If you want to give us an overview on that right quick.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. The Board of Health, through state environmental health staff, has been concerned that although they've been using code enforcement and regulations based on state standards, there's no locally adopted by the Pickens County Board of Health standards regarding septic and minimum lot sizes and septic and campers. And so Pickens County...
we do have ordinance in place for campgrounds like the one up there at Whitestone. So I mean, it's not like we don't have anything. So we do have that in place.
Yes, sir. Pickens County local government, through our code of ordinances, already has existing local ordinances that we as local government staff enforce. But the Board of Health, as far as environmental health staff has informed us, has never formally adopted local standards just for them, for Board of Health, so that the state environmental health staff, when they get issues regarding septic situations and campers, or septic situations and, let's say for example, small, older legal lots of record, and somebody wants to put a new structure on an older legal lot of record that's less than an acre. And so they wanted to have standards in place that they could adopt, and the Board of Health is going to meet October 11, and if they adopt those two amendments to their standards on lot sizes and on campers, then related to septic, they have requested that the Pickens County Board of Commissioners adopt those standards into the Pickens County Code of Ordinances. There's a certain chapter, Chapter 34, on health and sanitation. And what environmental health staff has told me is that if they can get the County Board of Health to adopt those standards, if they can get the Board of Commissioners to adopt those standards, it will help environmental health staff to better conduct code enforcement and to review site by site for septic concerns, and whether it's existing or proposed new.
Is there any of this take care of these small buildings that they're building and setting out and bringing in, selling?
The
Like
new small homes that are
little
real
small
popular
homes,
right
yeah.
now.
Well, that and some of these other places like garages and stuff, and they got porches on them and all that. It just looks like that could be a problem.
Well, the code that we've got now, and you correct me if I'm wrong, the code we've got there oversees that right now anyway. You can't go over to, for instance, you can't go over to Home Depot, buy a two-story little building that you can bring out parking on your property and start living in it. That is not what those are designed to do. Now, there might be some counties somewhere in South Georgia that might let you do that, but we don't do that here.
We've got all these other places that's popped up, that's selling these things.
You've got the little homes that you see on TV through the Home and Garden channel that are actually, in a sense, no more different than a small mobile home. That, you know, the 50, 55, 60-foot mobile homes at 12 foot wide that hook up to that actually put in by standards, by IA standards, and actually got sewage, bathing facilities, cooking, and a lot of those meet criteria. Now, where you can regulate them to a certain point is like some subdivisions here in Pickens County will not let you move or build anything in a subdivision less than 1,400 square feet, and you have to monitor that way. But now that would be something when they say the tiny homes. You know, when they say tiny homes, is that what you're referring to?
Well, not exactly like we see on TV. You know?
Yeah.
But these companies that sell these buildings and stuff out here, just carports and this
Oh,
and that
yeah.
and other, they've got a little one that's about as 10 foot wide and 20-something foot long, and there's people living in them.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, there is ordinances already against that. Power companies have worked well with us in the last 2 or 3 years, when they've come in and requested, power, meter bases and all, for the power companies to come in. If they don't come in and ask for a permit, then the power company will not run power to it. Then that stalls them to bring it down.
Well, most of what I'm talking about is it's on a joining property that's already got maybe a home on it.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got one out here that's got a.
Well, that's where public health gets along, because I think if you read our ordinances, you cannot have 2 living quarters on one lot, depending on what size lot that is. And normally what they try to do then is hook something like that up to one septic tank. You can't have two separate homes, if you want to call it a home, hooked up to one septic tank. That's where you get public health involved in that situation. You can shut that down. As we locate them, county marshal will get involved, magistrate probate judge will get involved, and then we take from that point of view. So that's some issues that we have to come through as this county, as everything's will start picking up and start growing, monitor it, along with the inspectors, with planning and development, the inspector that we have back there catches some. The tax assessor's crew catches one every once in a while out in the field. Nobody knows anything about it, all of a sudden it just pops up. So that way it flags us to where we can start seeing what's going on in those areas. And then of course, you know, the marshal or sheriff's department will catch one every once in a while. But you just have to go and investigate it and be sure they've got their correct permits.
I don't know if it will catch on here, but they market those sometimes as granny pods, like you can put your mother or grandmother in the backyard. So that would bring up that situation you just talked about,
Yeah.
to one piece of property.
Yeah, one piece of property, one septic tank.
Yeah.
That's normally state steps into that point. Not that saying that hasn't happened,
Right.
because you know, a lot of people pull power out of their home to hook up something like that, so we have no, they don't come in and ask for a electrical license or building or electrical permit to hook that up, and they pull it out and hook up a sub panel out there, and then next thing you know, they've hooked up the septic tank that's actually for the house. Now they've hooked up to another living quarters. So it's going to be and it has been for years. It's been an issue that we've been trying to keep a hold of it, but we'll just keep battling it as we hopefully, heaven forbid, we have to hire another marshal or two to help start overseeing a lot of this stuff. But we'll keep it in check. Anything else, Richard? I'm sorry.
If I could ask Richard.
Yeah.
So it sounds like if Department of Health adopts these on October the 11th, then you and they want the Board of Commissioners to adopt it in the October meeting. Is that right?
environmental health staff has asked, without giving us a specific date, they've asked that if on October 11th, the Board of Health adopts these two amendments, that either in the October, November, or it could be December, Board of Commissioners regular meeting, that the Board of Commissioners adopt those two amendments. So it's not that it has to be done during this next meeting, but it could be, depending on what happens at the October 11th Board of Health meeting.
Well, the reason, one of the things I was asking about in 331, they talk about the existing mobile facilities in that last sentence, basically talking about the mobile home parks or the on sewage sites, sewage management systems that would be grandfathered in. I wonder if you and I could get together before, if they want to adopt it in the October meeting, if you and I could get together to determine which sites currently do have that grandfather status, so that can be a part of the minutes, so that we don't have any confusion. To my knowledge, there's only that one at Talona, and that would be the only one that would qualify.
It's something that environmental health staff, has been great to work with, in the sense that they've said, this is what we're adopting as through the Pickens County Board of Health. If, as a local government, if Pickens County wants to revise some of it for adoption in the county code of ordinances, let's say, for example, taking out the grandfathered status or modifying that grandfathered part, that's up to the Board of Commissioners. So, this isn't locked, in stone where we have to adopt their exact language. So yes, sir, I'll be glad to work with you.
I would
Sure.
changing the language. I was just wanting the specific
Sure.
tax parcels that are currently grandfathered in, so that we can.
It wouldn't be better just to get together and see what they've got.
Yeah, because what we're starting to see, and have seen for quite some time, is the fact that property that's already been zoned for mobile homes are not campers. So property that has already been zoned and set up for mobile homes, all of a sudden we're starting to see campers start creeping in. Camper's not designed to live in there 12 months out of the year. They're not designed, they're not under any kind of building code specifications for that, and they're not designed for that. Camper's just a camper. So we do, we're gonna have to, we got the ordinances in place. One of these days we're gonna step up and start really cracking down on it, and it is what it is.
Yeah, but Mr. Barnes, I appreciate your time, and also answer to your question. There are two tools that we've been able to work well with environmental health staff on. The first tool is, before we issue any manufactured home type permit or building permit for a house, the septic permit has to be in place. The septic situation, if it's an existing septic tank, has to be adequate. Environmental health has been great in confirming that their now general policy is they don't want multiple structures being tied into one septic tank. So that's helped us a lot. And then the second tool is having our certified inspectors rely on the International Residential Code and other codes that the state requires all cities and counties in Georgia to follow, so that no matter how big or small a house is, it has to meet the exact same code standards. So people have a lot of ideas about alternative housing and different sizes and things like that. We just want them to be in a safe situation and code compliant. Yes, sir.
Any further comments or any other things anybody would like to discuss while we got anybody here? Mr. Landon? Lisa? Got any questions? Ms. Fay? Everything?
Just reminding me of budget work sessions, October 17th and 18th, and October 24th.
And I think
Those will be advertised.
And I think those dates are set up for all three of us. We're going to be on vacation those days. No, it'll be fine.
What is that anyway?
What? Huh?
Vacation?
Vacation. I'll figure it out. Everybody don't forget, and I'm sure you have at Marble Festival, expecting bigger crowds this time than we've seen in the past. So it's going to be cranking up as of Friday evening with the arts there at the Chamber, a few others. So, and then we've got things really going to start getting a little rambunctious. The parade starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, along with the tours are starting at 10:30, running through Saturday and then also on Sunday. So y'all come if you can, be safe. Have y'all got any other? Oh, road race. We've got a road race coming down South Main Street. They're shutting the road down at 8 o'clock. If anybody here is running in the road race, be sure to stop at Miss Denny's house. She's serving biscuits and orange juice as y'all run down by in front of her place. So.
Thank you.
But other than that, please everybody be safe for the weekend. Traffic is going to be immense. So y'all enjoy it. If no other questions, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.